Hey guys, B8KD here. In today's video, I'm going to be going over a extremely strong Cynabal fit. It is going to be a armor fit with the new balance changes that came into effect. Armor is extremely powerful now, and it is great on your capacitor, and it's great for PvE, PvP, just about anything you want. Now, of course, you can adjust this build any way you want. You can take off a module, add a module, really however you feel the need to build it. So let's go into my fitting page. I'm going all out tank over DPS. In today's world, you need to out tank somebody's DPS, and having 10,000 more EHP versus 50 to 100 more DPS doesn't really outweigh itself. So of course on the high slots you're gonna go 5 C-type medium autocannons. That is necessary. You do not want to go down on these. They are fairly cheap, but 100% C-type autocannons. Now I did 2 Predator webs at 14.8 kilometers. And 1 scram. Now, with the 2 webs, if you fight like a succubus, they can actually kite you with only 1 web on them, and you will barely hit. So having the 2 webs, you can combat extremely fast, frigates and destroyers and such. But 2 webs will completely lock somebody down, and you'll pretty much be applying like 90% of your DPS on that target. The scram is to shut down micro warp drives. It does have 4 points on there, and I've seen a lot of people equipping 2 warp jamming optimizers, so potentially you could swap this other web for a disruptor, another scram, something to catch them far away, get up close, web and scram them. You will pretty much shut them down unless they have an afterburner. But you can put anything in that slot. You don't have much power grid with this build. I went with a Mark 7 infiltrator. You always want to have backup drones. They're not doing much DPS, only 30, but it will, over time start chipping away at people, especially extremely tanked people. If they pop your drone, you want to have a backup for that. Now on the low slot, I am going to try to get a C-type medium micro warp drive, but honestly, if you have to move down in a module, you can do the medium micro warp drive here. The difference between the C-type and let's just say a Mark 5 is a small velocity difference. It's like a 50 to 100 meters a second, just about. So it's not gonna make or break your build if you slap a Mark 5 micro warp drive on there to get this fit to work. I did a whatever that is, medium capacitor battery. I might be able to move this up to a Republic fleet, or move this down to a Mark 5 and then slap a C-type micro warp drive on there, but I'm gonna leave it how it is. So I got the dealer, the medium capacitor battery, and that is to power my C-type large armor repairer. Now if you are doing a large repairer, I would 100% recommend the C-type one. You want the largest amount of armor repair per tick, which I got this up to about 2,000, which is a crap load taking into account your resistances at 11.13 seconds a tick. So they substantially buffed the amount of armor this repairs, along with my build complementing it. Now down below I did a C-type adaptive. Now these have much more resistances now. They go up to 29%, which is huge. That extra, I think 7 to 8% is actually a lot. I did have a all-around damage control for the extra resistances and the 18-second activation time, to kind of like get you out of your oh shit moment, get your armor repair pumping. So for this slot you can swap it out for another invulnerability shield, which I actually don't have one, but I will test it in a sec to see how much resistances we can get up to. But with the buff in the resistances here, doing 2 adaptives might actually be a pretty valid way to go. Your resistances will go through the roof and you'll be able to tank more. But you'll have to decide, is the 18 seconds and 8% resistance is worth it, or vice versa. Now, rig-wise, I did a tier 3 velocity. You want this thing going as fast as possible. I have a tier 3 power grid rig on here and a capacitor multiplier. I'm trying to get as much cap as possible. I don't want to cap myself out using this large armor pair, but this is definitely a negotiable spot. I did the 20% to kind of negate the micro warp drive there. It does 25% into your capacitor. So overall, I think the longevity would be to slap one of these on there. You can do a tier 1, you can do another power grid rig to fit stuff, inertia, you name it. So that's kind of like your extra slot or your freebie slot, whatever you feel like you need there. Even another velocity might help. When you're orbiting somebody at 2 kilometers, you really you don't want that tight of orbit because you'll actually mess up your tracking on your autocannons. But potentially inertia could be good on there for faster warping, approach, what have you. Now for this build, I went all out defense. So I did the 40% to plug both of my holes there. And then up top, I did a 30% armor repair bonus. On top of the buff to this C-type large armor pair and that 30%, we're up to 2,000 per tick, which is pretty intense. Now, if you look at our armor hit points, we have 9,000, so you're pretty much almost healing more than a quarter, like 30% of your armor every single tick, and that's going to be hard to kind of break, especially with all these resistances on here. Your 650 DPS is quite a bit. I know you can get these things up to 1,000 DPS, but you're pretty much a glass cannon, and if you get hit by 2 people, you're pretty much dead in some cases. Now, if we just go ahead and pop our invulnerability shield and look at our resistances now, we're up to 45k EHP, and we are around 60 to 70% resistances. So that's fairly good. The thermal, is tough because you have railgun users. I think the majority of their damage is thermal. Now, if we pop our damage control, let's just take a look. I didn't even pop it. Yeah, I did. Maybe didn't register yet. Yeah, 134k EHP, and we go up to 90% resistances. So you'll still be taking a little bit of damage. Let's go ahead and dock up and switch to invulnerability shield. And here we go. So let's go ahead and pop both our invulnerability shields and check our resistances now. We are at 48k, so that gave us about a 3k EHP boost. Gave us about, I think, 8% thermal, a little bit of kinetic, explosive. To be honest, I think I'm going to go with the damage control. I'm not seeing too much of a difference between these resistances. The other option is you can do a adaptive armor hardener as well. That will plug your thermal resistances when fighting a singular target, not like a missile user. It does give you a little bit of boost in resistances that way, but if we go to armor hardeners, so our C-type does 15.51, and then the resistances kind of adjust towards that user you're fighting. So this is definitely a good way to, if you plan to solo PvP. If you're in kind of a larger group, I think a damage control might be best. But that's your call on that. Let's go ahead and pop our micro warp drive. know everybody gives me shit I go into the menu each time. So this is just a dealer, but we are going 2918 meters a second, which is extremely fast, and that is faster than a majority of the ships. Ooh, tried to lock the gay gun. But you see we get up to speed fast. Almost immediately we get up to about 2,000 meters a second. So you can really pounce on somebody, and if you have the two webs, you can tackle them. That's why I roll with the scram. You can really just get on top of somebody really quickly, and I like the 4 points and shutting off their micro warp drive versus like the long range point. I feel like I can tackle people effectively without that long range point. Just getting your warp set and warping in at the correct ranges and etc. Now, looks like somebody may be ratting. I'm going to go surfing around, see if I can kill somebody. And we'll just check our DPS. When you are orbiting with your micro warp drive on, you do drop to around 2,000 or less meters a second. Usually what you want to do is turn your micro warp drive off while webbing them and scramming them, and you will apply pretty much full damage. You can arguably go with a afterburner when you're PvEing. That'll give you a good speed tank buffer. You won't go as fast, but it seems to work pretty well. But I'm pretty sure I can hit all the way up to about 2,000 plus on a smashing hit. But I'm going to go back, 2,700, that was pretty juicy. So I'm going to head back to the station really quick, and I'm going to try my neut bomb fit and see if I can get it to work. Alright, so my last build here is going to include a large neut. Large neutralizers are extremely powerful. They're probably one of the most powerful modules in the game, in my opinion, if done correctly. Now, if we look at this fitting, of course I kept my C-type weapons at the top. I went with 2 C-type medium armor repairs, repairing at almost 7 seconds a tick. 1 C-type adaptive. I was able to do a C-type medium cap battery for the most cap and multiplier possible. I was able to fit our C-type medium micro warp drive. My scram, my web, which is a single web, but as long as you don't fight a succubus or like a phantasm, you should be good. Well, I guess the neutralizer will complement that. Now, I was able to fit a large energy neutralizer, neutralizing 658 gigajoules per cycle every 24 seconds. The optimal range is 18 and goes all the way out to 28, but you're going to be a lot closer than that. Now you can do the most powerful large energy neut. This is just the one I had in my stash here. But essentially you want to pop your cap battery and your large energy neut. If you start taking damage, you want to pair your cap battery, your neut, and both your armor repairs going off at once. I would probably recommend 2 of these. You will get out DPS'd with 1 shield. Even if you put a second invulnerability shield on there, you want to repair as much as you can and be able to tank them as long as possible for the large energy neut to become very effective. These are the best for long drawn out fights, or 1v1s where you both have a lot of tank. Eventually, if you can out tank his burst and his DPS, you will completely neut him and win. Now if we pop our shield and just look at all this, of course a plane flies over me. We are still at 35. Well, it's a little laggy, it looks like. 41k EHP, around 60, a little bit less resistances as before, so you want to watch out for vigilance. If you can get in a vigilance range or within like 2 kilometers, you should be able to neut them out before they kill you. Now if we just go, let's head to a medium anomaly and let's see how our capacitor holds up. this is a extremely effective build when done properly. This may be good in large groups. You could even fit strike cannons if you have the power grid for it, even if you fit a power grid rig on there, but you could kind of lob things out at like 20 kilometers and just neut the crap out of people, staying out of range of their webs and stuff. But let's just check our C-type. So we are going 2949 meters a second, which is barely a difference from that dealer. So what we're gonna do, web him, scram him, pop this, and neut him. When you pop your medium armor repairs, you want to do them off cycle, so they're repairing the most effectively. It's harder to break your tank like that. Then you just start neuting the crap out of them. You get 2 cycles on each capacitor battery, which is good. Your third neut goes off your capacitor, but if you see, even with your armor repairs popping off, it's barely using any capacitor, to say the least. You're going to be able to keep this up for quite a while. Let's pop our micro warp drive and just see how fast we can neut ourselves out. Yep, so another neut went off. We're at about 50% capacitor. Now I probably won't need to have these armor repairs going 100% of the time, but you can take one of them off. You're getting low or something. Let's see our last neut. So we're down to 32%. We got to repair more. Usually you don't have your micro warp drive on 100% of the time, so we'll just turn that off. And we have our cap battery available, so I'll just turn these off quick. Okay, pop that right before the energy neut. Get those a little bit off cycle. And we are balling. At this point, the ship you're fighting should be completely neuted out, and your DPS is heavy enough to be able to take them out. Alright, I'm just going to go and show you a few brawling clips. Just a couple of kills I got. Nothing too special. I haven't been out solo PvPing in this in quite a while. I just wanted to kind of showcase the new armor and the changes and very strong builds you can use with this. So yeah, I'm going to head back to the station now, and we'll get right into the PvP. Got him. This bastard. Let's just set our orbit at 2 now instead of approaching. Hit him. Should probably just turn my micro warp drive off. I'll just let him hit me for a few. And he is done. Good fight, my friend. Look at this juicy kill up. Ooh, Pythes. Garista debris, hot dog. I had like 10 mil in my cargo hold. That was about a 250 million-ish kill. Good fight, my friend. Do you have a... Alright, and just the cherry to top off the kill, I'm gonna loot this T6 Inquisitor and see what we get. Cool. Let's see our total loot from that. I did have 10 mil in my bag from a couple of other elites. 552 million ISK. I will take it. Okay, got me an RB here. He has me fully tracking disrupted up. Should probably have my armor hardener on. Not doing too entirely much damage. Should probably drop my micro warp drive. Got my Drake flying in here. And I am shredding him. Didn't really need my Drake to help. Just needed to turn my micro warp drive off and we are good to go. Good fight, my friend. Let's go ahead and send him the good fight in local. And we will send him back to Lumbee. Loot this fine gentleman up. Covert Ops. Tracking Disruptor. Federation Drone. That's a good 20 mil. 197 mil. Not too bad. He was all out damage with no tank. He actually did a pretty good amount of DPS on me.